What's up, everybody? It is time for another in-ring wrestling podcast. I'm Kevin Kelly. I'm the guy in the peach shirt tonight. Some may say pink, but standing over there, sitting to my left, right, or wherever you are, that's Casey Thompson. Casey, what are we wearing this week? It looks like an old flapjack T-shirt.
It is, and you forgot to tell me to have my cheaters on again. Damn it, Kevin. I'm going to have to find you or something.
I know, God.
Yes, I have.
There he is.
Blackjack Mulligan T-shirt. You know, because what the funny thing is, I realized we talk a lot about blackjack on this show.
I know.
And just because I was going back when I would make the shorts and stuff, I look for pictures and they're all saved. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of pictures of blackjack, a lot of the Florida Territory guys, especially Blackjack and Dusty. But can't really blame us because blackjack was a huge, what's the correct word I want to use? Instrumental in our careers.
Yes.
Both of us alike.
As fans and then in the industry once we both got started.
Yes.
No doubt about it. In fact, it was blackjack that brought us together. The first time I met you was through Mulligan at the IWF tapings.
You know, it was kind of funny because Jack would be sitting there, and I'm always sitting behind Jack, like in a room with all these people around, and everyone's like, who's that guy? And you know how the boys are always, who's that guy? Who is he? You know, people that didn't know you or know who you are and stuff. They're always, what is he here for? Where's he from? What is he doing here? What is he? Is he the owner? Is he the booker? Is he what? You know,
he's here to take my spot.
Oh, exactly. And you know, wrestling has the highest amount of conspiracy theories there is. Everything is a conspiracy with wrestling.
Yes.
Oh. Am I right?
Every sport is completely fixed.
Oh, yeah.
Everything is a work. Politics, sports.
I can't tell you how many conversations I had with Kevin Sullivan, how he first thing is he told me was fixed is when the Patriots won the Super Bowl the first time. He told me, and somehow he was able to figure out how it was going to happen and everything. So he told me it was a work. And then I had hours of conversations on the phone with Blackjack about how the UFC is fixed.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So, I mean, he's definitely believed that if there's money involved, it's a work.
I've heard that from several others besides Blackjack Mulligan. It is scary to think about how generationally it doesn't matter about once you are in the wrestling industry, you immediately become a conspiracy theorist because the industry that you work in is completely predicated on crafting a narrative to make people believe something that it is not.
Correct.
It just opens the door for so much. What is this?
Right now, we're at 994. We need 6 people. And I tell you what, this has been a crazy week because I got up to 990. We got up to 990. And then someone unsubscribed.
Bastards.
Back down 1. Then we went up 2, back down. We've had more people come on and go off this week than we have since the inception of it all. It's been driving me crazy.
Yeah.
And I told my girl, I said, this last 10 is going to be the hardest ones to get. And it sure has proven out to be that way.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, it has been a slow, steady climb with seemingly big jumps. Or is it that we're not paying attention to it and the gains come organically? It's the theory, Casey, that the watched pot never boils. Now that we're looking at it, that's why it's going to take forever.
My girl's like, you need to talk about something controversial to get people, comment and stuff like that. I know I did send you one from our TikTok channel. It's up to about 5,000 views and about 80 comments right now where people are talking about. Yeah, we're talking about the second generation wrestlers, if they're better than their their relative before them.
And it was a great kind of wide-ranging dip your toe in conversation. We highlighted the pros and cons of the senior versus the junior, and then started to make correlations. Like Barry Wyndham is a lot different than Blackjack Mulligan, But,
Sure.
there again, you could say, well, both of Dusty's sons are not like the other. Before we touch on this, though, for a show that generally does not have a topic, Casey, do I understand that we have a whiteboard, or are we not sharing
Yes, we do.
that?
No,
Because a whiteboard, to me, says planning, that we're planning ahead.
This is just because I will forget what I'm want to mention.
He's got his own cue cards.
So I wrote it down.
Okay, got it.
There's a few topics I like to make sure I do not forget to talk about.
Okay.
And so the first thing we could talk about just briefly is I'm sure you've seen that Abdul the Butcher is I don't know if he's in hospice or he's not doing very well. He's just hanging on.
I have seen
that. So that was one of the things I wanted to mention just because we talk about everything. And I did defeat Abdul the Butcher on TV for WCW.
I mean, and probably there's probably 20 people in the world that could say they've beaten Abdullah the Butcher on TV.
Yeah.
And probably quite a handful of them are no longer with us. But
sure.
When you think about Abdullah the Butcher, obviously one of the most feared, fearsome, fierce, and had several incarnations throughout his career. Started off very much a martial artist, and then morphed into the madman from Sudan, who was always a territory fave. When you'd see him come in, you knew you were going to see blood in the houses the next week.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, so when we started talking about Dusty, and we started talking about Dustin and Cody, I understand, like you said, that this raised a lot of comment over on TikTok and a lot of views, 5,000 of them, my goodness. What seems to be the prevailing wisdom? They generally hate us over on TikTok.
Yeah. Oh, well, the best is when people in the thread start, healing and fighting each other.
Oh, that is good.
So people are like, one of the talking about how they're talking about everyone, Jake the Snake and Sam Houston. Their dad was Grizzly. So they're going through saying this person was better. Just giving their opinions. One of the opinions was that Bray Wyatt was better than IRS Mike Rotunda, and then someone was like, no, he wasn't. So. And I would kind of have to agree with that. I would think that Mike Rotunda was a better wrestler. I mean, it's two different times and, two different generations of wrestling. So, one goes back from when it was a sport, and this is sports entertainment. Bray Wyatt was more sports entertainment-like, but as the wrestling ability in the ring, I think Mike Rotunda was definitely better than all of them.
Well, of course. I mean, Mike Rotunda was in the upper class of the 1% of great amateurs, in his time. And when you look at what he was able to do versus what other amateur wrestlers, he's more in line of a Kurt Angle, Mike Rotunda was, than he would be a Bray Wyatt, just because his amateur background was impeccable.
Yeah, he wrestled for Syracuse and played football for them.
That's true.
Yeah.
Two-sport star like Jim Brown. And no slight at all on Bray Wyatt. No slight at all. Much more like his grandfather than his father. Fair to say?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that definitely. Yeah, that's, he had the size like Blackjack and, the face. Yeah. So
he had the mobility and the hostility.
More like his dad.
Yeah, true. That is true.
Yeah.
And has had a long wrestling career built around, his last name and the potential of what could be, but certainly no slight to either one of them. Did we get anything wrong with Dustin and Cody and Dusty, according to TikTok?
No, I mean, not according to any. Everyone's just kind of giving their opinions. I'm seeing if I can pull it up.
Because I get worried. These TikTok kids, because we're a couple of old farts. And I want to make sure that we're
totally...
Get Izzy on the phone. She'll let us know. No, you guys completely suck.
Yes, she well, definitely. She was here for Father's Day, actually. She
Oh,
made
that's nice.
a quick run in on me. Stayed for the day and night, and loaded up with some groceries and provisions, and headed back to the house and to college.
There you go.
She's taking summer classes.
Aha. So, of course, last week we started talking about, second generations, and I think the first name that we mentioned may have been Orton, because Bob Orton Jr., Bob Orton Sr., and of course Randy Orton, who was the best of the three. Some might say that it was Bob Orton Sr. Who knows? If you were around for that generation to see all three in their prime.
Right. Another one we didn't even mention, which would be, they're both great in their own right, would be Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig, and his dad, Larry the Axe Hennig.
True. That is very true. And, of course, had Joe Hennig as well. We wanted to see him be successful. Such was not the case. But when you looked at...
Sorry.
Hey, listen, it's not for everybody. When you look at second generation, on the more painful side, you have to mention the Von Erichs. And
yes.
the way the kids were pushed, and I'm not talking about getting a push in wrestling. I mean just like, this is what you're going to do, this is how you're going to do it. The movie portrayed some of that, but the real life story was even worse. And when you talk to somebody that knew the Von Erichs, and you realize it was kind of sad that this is what you were going to do, this was the family business, and this was how it was going to be done, and this is when you're going to make your debut and how much money you're going to make me. That's what I always felt like.
I know Bugsy has talked to me a little bit about the Von Erichs, how screwed up they were, like in addiction-wise and everything. Because you have to think that one of the things I was thinking about being a second-generation wrestler would be that the pressure has to be something fierce on you to live up, especially if your dad was like a big superstar, like a Dusty or even Blackjack in his own right. Those guys were big stars. Like Dusty is probably on a lot of people's Mount Rushmores of wrestlers, and that's hard. Imagine growing up what it's like before you get in the business. It's like being rich. Okay, do they like me and they're friends with me because of my money, or is it because of me, or is it because of my dad's Dusty, or is it because so that has to be hard. And then when you get into the business, first you can get everyone that's going to be talking crap about you because you're only there because it's who your dad is, and then things like that. But I would think that both Dustin and Cody have proven that they would have made it in the business without their father.
I think that's true. But would they have wanted to? Like, I don't know I don't know Dustin well enough to be able to say, hey, by the way, I never asked you this, but if you didn't get into wrestling, what would you have done?
Yeah.
Would he have gotten into? Would he have been in construction? Would he have been an engineer? Would he have? I know he loves raising dogs. Would he have done some of that? Who knows?
He has English Mastiff.
Yeah.
I had some very long late night phone conversations with Dustin back in his very dark time of his life, and so he had to be all gimmicked up while he's talking to me on the phone because. One, you're taking a bunch of, stuff like that. It makes you more talkative than, normal. So,
right.
it's when I was running MXPW, and it was about having him come in doing some work for us and everything. So he's like, I just want to talk to you and see if, the business or. So we just started talking about the business, how I looked at it, my philosophy on how I think things should be done. He's doing like, okay, yeah, the business. So, we did. We talked. He never came in and worked for us. No apparent reasons why. But we did have a bunch of conversations on the phone. So it's it's pretty interesting.
Did you find him to be honest?
Oh yeah, yeah. Extremely honest to me when we were talking. Because when you talk to someone that talks like they know the business, but they really don't. Because you being in the business for a long time, you can talk to someone that's been in the business you can talk to someone and they say they're in the business. You can talk to them for 2 or 3 minutes and know if they're in the business or if they're just full of it, or if they
Right.
started to go to a couple training sessions and then quit. That which happened a lot. I was trained. He trained for a month and quit, and then just started
Right.
wrestling. So you can talk to those people in the first couple seconds and be like, oh no, this guy don't know what he's talking about.
Were you and Dustin having kind of like deep conversations, would you say?
Yeah, about the business though.
Oh,
Not
okay.
necessarily our life and stuff like that. Just he wanted to see if I knew how to run, a wrestling company, or knew how to, promote, or how to write a show, or, all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So,
and
I think that because I was an old school, that's my flavor, was old school. It came across really well for him.
Yeah. One thing I've always worried about, and again, the first thing we said on this episode, is that when you get into the wrestling business, you have automatically the bullshit meter goes off and it's 100.
Oh yeah.
And you think
Yeah.
everything is a work. I've wondered how many times I've had real conversations with people in the business, whether or not they're working me or not, whether or not they're full of shit, because you don't know. Yeah. You keep playing, you play the odds, and you're listening per conversation, per topic. Like, for example, one of the guys that I found to be the most honest, and just it was refreshing talking to him. I wouldn't say that we were friends, but we became friendly, was Sean Waltman. Because Sean Waltman started in WWE before I was there. He was gone before I arrived. Then he came back. But he had lived like 3 or 4 lives by this point, and was pretty well established as both a great talent and also somebody who was a great partier and lived life on the edge.
Yeah.
So when people abuse drugs and when people are in the wrestling industry, that's a twofer for not necessarily trusting what they say. But I found Sean to be totally engaging and just a wonderful guy. He could have been out of his mind on drugs, and I wouldn't have known it because I'm pretty naive to that stuff. But he, again, just had this air of confidence about him that he could talk about anything, and we always had good conversations.
Yeah. Speaking about the bullshit and all that kind of stuff, and I've always said that, we talking about how many times we were supposed to go somewhere, the what ifs. I told you about this one kid that was wanting me to help him get into business. He's been training some. So I guess he did something in the Carolinas, and he's a Native American. So something came up where they were putting Sam Houston. He's like, hey, a guy named Sam Houston? I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah, he was at the at our show, and they, the tribe, nominated, put him in some Hall of Fame or something. Like, I don't know, the whole deal was, and how he was like, the point that I was getting to is like, he's like, hey, he was asking me if I wanted to go to China to wrestle, and I started laughing. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I gotcha. And he's like, God, is he a real deal, or is he full of shit? I said, well, I said, let me put it to you this way. I said, the problem is you have to take everything with a grain of salt, because what if it's real? So you don't want to miss out on an opportunity, because but then you don't want to feel like a mark, trying to fall into the whole. So you have this fine line you got to go down to figure out what sticks on the wall and what doesn't. I said, he's been around forever. I said, but he's also was known, to, you know, do that kind of stuff.
True.
Exaggerate, the story and what's happening and things like that. He's one of the workers that
Right.
would work everyone in the business.
There were some guys who you could always get a straight and honest answer out of. And
Yeah.
you knew them. You didn't have to worry about it. You might not get the whole answer, as Casey said last week when he was asking Blackjack various questions about different things in different times. And you said, Casey, well, he would tell me a little bit. He would tell me, some of the legal troubles that he had gotten in. Well, he would tell me a little bit of the story, but probably not more. And this is what I was thinking afterward. Probably not more than you could handle. Because
probably
it's a lot of information and a lot of why and a lot of explaining. And
pretty deep. And
yeah,
the shoot story is that if he would have told the story, I would have said, "Oh, he's full of shit," because it was that heavy.
Because we're in the business and we don't believe anything.
Yeah.
You see, folks, this is why it's hard for people in wrestling to have real relationships. This is
absolutely,
why.
Yeah. It's and I'll give you another person, like, and I'm really good friends with him now, with Joe Gomez.
Mm-hmm.
When I knew Joe when he's Alan Iron Eagle when he first started wrestling. We were doing TV with WCW and stuff like that. He was the wheel man for Flair and Arn and Pee Wee, all those guys. But when I finally met Joe, like one-on-one, we were both on a show together. He's like, "Oh man, you look really good out there. You have a great drop kick and go on." And I'm thinking, because always there's something up there doing like, he's full of shit. I can't trust him. And one of those little gazoos up there, And I'm like, either he's the biggest bullshitter in the world, or he's the nicest guy I ever met.
Right.
And to come to find out after this going on many times, he's just the nicest guy in the world.
Sure.
He's a great, great person. And will do anything for you. He's just a great, great guy. And I ended up becoming very good friends with him. He had a little mishap where he went away. He had a federal vacation for about 18 or 22 months or something like that. He happened to be down in Miami with, he was in there with, at the time, my kid, my wife at the time, her best friends, they have 5 sisters. Her best friend's sister's father. I'm sorry, not the 5 girls. Their father was in there with Gomez. So we'd carpool. We'd carpool down there. She'd see her dad, or one of the 5 girls I would ride with would see their dad, and I would go see Joe, and I'd always bring Chase with me in the car carrier. So
wow. Split trans with the lady, yeah.
Oh yeah. So and it was only like 45 minutes away, hour, depending on traffic. Miami traffic can be real horrible.
Sure.
It could be a 20-minute ride and it's an hour because of traffic. But we go down there and he's like, "Hey man," and he was in a camp, so it's not like he was like behind a bar, clanging the bars and all. He was in a camp, and if they walked off, they could leave, but they get sent up to the big house, and you don't want that, so that everyone behaved. But he was like, "Hey man, bring me a can of Copenhagen, and bring me this. Just put it in the diaper, and then I'll get it out when I'm holding the baby and all that." I'm like, "All right." So Chase was used to, sneak paraphernalia into the prison,
smuggling contraband through a baby.
Yeah, yes.
I'm sure you're not the first.
They won't check the diaper. Don't worry. Yeah.
So one guy that I knew, and it was hard to get a straight answer out of, but you knew that he was either completely ribbing or ribbing on the square, and then eventually you'd find out the story, was Owen Hart.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, Owen, notorious ribber, And if you asked him a question, hey, Owen, what color is the sky? You're going to get 5 different answers, but that's Owen being Owen. But
Right.
if you asked him, hey, so what'd you guys do for for Oj's birthday? And you knew that you were going to get the complete honest answer.
Right.
With and you could see that spark. You could see the way he would talk about his children, the way he would talk about the business and the
Right.
bitterness and some of the things that he felt and the frustration that he felt. But he was, just kind of an easygoing guy in a really rough business and a tough sport. But Owen was somebody who, you could get 5 answers out of, and you're not quite sure which one is true. But that's because he was Owen.
Right. Yeah, and another funny thing about Gomez is when he got out, I went down and picked him up. Remember Jumpin' Joey Maggs?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, so
Maryland
Joey came with us because there are a few of us. So Joe rode with me. He's like, hey, man, we got to go to McDonald's. I said, oh, you want a breakfast sandwich? He's like, no, man, I told the boys that I would get some for him. He said, anytime someone leaves, they go and buy a big bag full of them. So I bought like $50 worth of breakfast sandwiches. And then he just ran over by the fence and just threw them over the fence.
Start chucking.
And I'm like, there's my $50 thrown, And he's like, oh, they'll find it. Don't worry. And he, about a month later, he's like, yeah, man, the boys said they really enjoyed the sandwiches. So whether he's working me or not, I don't know, but
it's ant food, and in Miami probably. But oh my God, that's funny.
Yeah. So that was. I will tell you that prison made him look really good when he came out. He looked the best shape he ever been in his life.
Yeah.
He would call me from there and say, Case, man, you got to try this sometime. He said, if it wasn't for girls, he said, I'd never want to leave this place. This is great. He's like, I get up in the morning, I go to my job where I'm, over in front of the food warehouse. He says, someone comes, makes my bed, and then someone brings me a 10 egg omelet and this and that. And if you have money, everything's fine, And it happened to be that he had a friend that was in there before him that was just getting out right when he was coming in, and he set everything up for him. So he was taken care of. And he says, yeah, man, I walked in and I heard, Gomez! Gomez! And he's like, looking, he's like, I don't know anyone here. I just got here. He says, oh my gosh, it was my college football coach.
Oh my God.
In there. He's like, yeah, man, this place is great. He said, I do feel sorry for the guys that have families, but if I could leave for the weekends and come back, I'd never leave. I'm like, nah, Joe, I'm good. I don't need I take your word for that one, bud.
Honey, I got a new business venture I want to talk to you about. Prison life.
Yeah.
I've thought about robbing banks. I'll tell you, I have. I've thought about robbing banks. That's where the money is.
Yeah, when things get tight and desperate, the thoughts that go through your head, like,
I could do.
Nah, I'm okay.
Nah, yeah. Then it's like, I'm never going to get away with it. I'd be the worst. But the one that bothers me is when these people do these things and they get away with it supposedly, and then they're blabbing on Instagram or, putting something on social media and ruining the whole spot, giving up the business.
Right.
Just keep your mouth shut. Jesus.
Yeah, they weren't taught kayfabe, I guess, at the beginning.
No, you gotta learn kayfabe in this world. The whole thing is, if you go and now so more than ever, if you are not a practitioner in the art of kayfabing, you're going to get yourself in a lot of trouble, because if you work a regular job and you say the wrong thing to the wrong person at the wrong time, they're going to blow up your spot on you. And you need to remember, just don't say anything. Don't tell them how you feel. Tell them what they want to hear you feel.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you do. You don't tell them anything about you, about your life or anything. You just tell them everything they want to hear, and that's it.
And then you move on.
Speaking of breaking kayfabe, you've seen the news lately that's happened on Tommy Dreamer. I guess Dreamer leaves TNA, and a bunch of girls are breaking kayfabe on him. whether it's a shoot or work or whatnot. Do you know Tommy very well?
I know Tommy. I don't know him very well. I know him. I know him
I
well enough
know,
to see him, names, hey, brother, how are
yeah,
you, Tommy? Good to see you, blah, 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 blah.
yeah.
And we're
I
good.
haven't talked to Tommy in many, many years, but I did get to know him, pretty decently when he was in um, working in the office in WWF
Mm-hmm.
in talent relations because my ex-wife um, grew up in Yonkers, New York, where Tommy's from. And I remember we were watching wrestling once, and I'm just laying there, and on TV it says, "From Yonkers, New York, Tommy Dreamer." And she's like, "Tom Havlin?" And I'm like, Tommy, no, she's like, "That's Tom Havlin."
Yep.
And she's like, "You know him?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "I grew up with him." I'm thinking, yeah, you grew up because one of the doctors from ER, she grew up. She's like, "No, he dated all through high school my best friend. Tom was always in our circle of everything." And
That's
I'm
cool.
like, "Oh, shit." I said, I wish I would have known that when I had my tryout the War Memorial for ECW when Tommy was the booker for ECW.
Right.
And he actually brought that up because um, I was friends with D'Lo, and D'Lo was friends with his wife. Jen was friends with mine. So they were having one of the pay-per-views was in Fort Lauderdale at or Sunrise.
Yep.
And so Jen's like, "Go with me." So I said, I stay home with Chase and everything. So I'm laying there watching TV or something, playing, hanging out with Chase. My phone rings, and someone's like, "Hey, man, uh, your wife's hugging Tommy Dreamer." And I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "They grew up together." "Oh, really?" I must have got 3 or 4 calls within an hour
What a
and
bunch of
everything.
stooges. Well, it's good to have stooges.
Yeah, no, it was good to have Stooges. Yeah. Um. So, but when we were talking once, he's like, "Oh my gosh," he said, "That's crazy." And he said, I told him, he said, "Yeah, I wish I would have known that when you had your try with ECW, I would have gave you a job." And then the girl that he dated, she ended up getting cancer at a very young age and passed away. And so I told him, and he was like, "Ah, I really appreciate you telling me and everything," because they were still, real close, and the families and everything and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, so it makes you wonder if he kind of got a little demented up there working with Vince, you know?
Did he, okay, you use the word demented. Is he suffering from dementia?
Now I'm talking Vince's
I know. I know
wink,
what
wink,
you're
nod,
saying.
nod. Yeah,
I think it's more likely that he got hit in the head a lot and
yeah,
and may forget what he says the wrong thing at the wrong time to the wrong person, and gives people, what's on his mind, like what he said to Carly Bravo. Okay, if he said that, um, there's a million ways that he could have said that better,
right,
or so that Carly Bravo would not have been offended, because the idea of
right.
how do you market someone is critical when you're hiring somebody. But
Right.
maybe some of those chair shots, some of that, maybe that takes some of that filter away, or the thoughts don't come
Yeah,
together as clearly as you want.
right. Some people don't have filters either,
True.
so
But you got
but
to have
yeah,
a
it's just
filter to get as far as he did on the office side of wrestling.
yeah. It just shows he was very good politically in order
Right.
to, get into run ECW, then got into talent relations. Whose place did he take, or who was he assistant for? He probably had your position, right?
He
When you were in
did.
talent relations?
I think he either followed Mike Bucci or he followed Dr. Tom.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Probably Dr. Tom got him in there.
Yeah, because it went me, Dr. Tom, and then Mike Bucci / Tommy Dreamer, flip flop.
And then what? Supernova had that job, and
Well, that's what I mean, Mike Bucci. That's his name.
Okay, yeah. Yeah,
And he was just telling the boys to get on the gas. Like he was blatant about it, and then he got fired. You can't tell them to get on the gas. Well, they need to get on the gas.
Again, huh?
They need to get on the gas. You can't say that.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you can't. You have to, how the creative way of saying that. Maybe, because that's why Tommy. I don't like to give cane shots to the head with girls. Let's do a crotch grab.
Yeah.
But I think we're not going to defend him on this. I think the way he used to do for ECW, where he was always giving the spankings to like Francine and ones like that. I think he was playing off of that instead of doing like, being violent to the women. This is what people knew him to do from ECW, where he got his biggest fame. So that's why he would always relate to those kind of spots with the girl, I think.
Right.
That's my opinion. I could be wrong, but he's always seemed like a straight guy, good family guy and stuff like that. But I don't know. I see Mickey James stood up for him and defended him.
Yeah, I
So
saw
that
a
gives
couple
a little
people
credibility.
did. Right.
Yeah.
And it's odd, the timing of everything.
Right.
You would have liked to have seen people come out and, speak out about Tommy when he was in power rather than kicking the guy when he's down.
One person's like, oh, good, I've been waiting for this one. They can lay on.
Why don't they say it when they've got, when you could hurt the guy? If you really wanted to hurt the guy, tell the story. Because he didn't get released from TNA probably because of his outdated views or saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. I'm not sure, but I think it may have had a lot to do with just cutting costs and wanting to go in a new direction.
Right.
And I had heard.
I see they're up for sale. You see that?
Yeah, I know. Listen. So we talked about $100 million.
Right.
Needing $100 million to have a startup wrestling company. Now, if you want to buy TNA Wrestling, okay, you assume all the debt. You get a television slot that you don't own. Right. You're not in control of. And it's only going to cost you $30 million. You get all the belts.
It's 30. I heard 50. Now it's down to 30.
I had heard 30.
Oh, okay.
It may not be worth
the wrestling business.
It may not be worth 30 cents when it's all said and done.
When you look at it, first of all, how much debt do they have that you're going to incur?
Yeah.
And does the debt go all the way back to Dixie Carter and Jeff Jarrett?
I don't know. It could very well be. I think. And
what's funny when you look at it? When we were on TV, it was on Sunshine. There was a 10 o'clock show, which was TNA, 11 o'clock show, which was Puerto Rico, and then midnight, we had the midnight time slot, us. And I forget what TNA was called, but the name of our MXPW show was called Sudden Impact. And it's funny that now they're called Impact Wrestling, after all those years.
And it's amazing that MXPW drew the ratings that it did, considering the time that it was on. You lose more than half of your audience from 10 p.m. to then midnight. And think about the percentages that it drops from 12 to 12:30 and from 12:30 to 1. So you having better ratings than TNA said to me that there was interest in the program.
Well, and one of the things I was looking at it from when we were looking at the time slots and we were talking about it, and I said, the way I look at it is most people middle-aged, when they get home, they go out to dinner and stuff like that, they're going to get home about 10:30, 11 o'clock. The wife's going to go to bed. They're going to relax, watch a little TV, click. Oh, good, wrestling's on. I can watch it and then go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I was looking at it from the demographic that I was shooting for, the middle age, and, because we weren't going to catch the young ones, but we also had a replay later in the week, so I would catch the younger kids on the flip side and stuff like that. But it was really interesting, how I got the time slot, because it was a lot cheaper than what people would thought it was, because And the reason why I got it and figured it out was because I knew Dusty negotiated the same deal I got. I negotiated it because I heard Dusty got when he was for MLW, he was negotiating the deal for them. I guess they didn't get it, and I knew it was a $500 a week, and you got that time slot, and then you got what was it? There's 14 minutes of commercials or something like that. I got 60% of the commercials. Now, I didn't have the infrastructure set up to sell the commercials and all that, so all I did was just throw PSAs in there for our commercials. Or I built a commercial, to promote something within shows coming up and stuff like that. So, I mean, if you ever watch back the old stuff and watch the footage from on TV, there'll always be like these really stupid PSAs in there about. It's like, oh man! I told the guy, can't you switch the commercials around? That's already built in. I'm like, come on, man, this is ridiculous. But yeah, I heard what Dusty was offered, and I saw the contract, so it's the same thing I got. And they wanted 1,500 a week is what they wanted for that time slot. I'm like, no. I said we can do 500 a week, and they're like, and they kind of figured out I knew what the deal was, so that's what we ended up getting it for.
That's cheaper than I thought.
Yeah,
that's way cheaper than I thought it would have been.
Yeah,
is there a Sunshine Network today? What is it? Bright House now? Who's got the cable?
I think it's Fox. It's Sports Fox now. Fox Sports or Sun Sports now. Sun Sports. But the thing was, it was also picked up by Fox Sports because they were a subsidiary of theirs. So people in New York would watch us on Fox Sports because we are on a different time there. We were like, say, Thursday nights at 10 o'clock there or something. So we are on all over the country. It actually, our allotment went out to 53 million homes. So, I mean, it was a pretty, and I will tell you this because I remember when Billy Gunn got released the first time, and I was like, oh, wow, okay, that sucks, but that's cool, good for me. So I called him up, and I said, hey, man, you want to work? He's like, I can't, I still am under my 90 days where I can't work for anyone that has more than what they considered regional TV. And he said, let me check. And so he got back with me. He's like, no, they said I can't work for you because your outlet was too big. I'm like, I said, oh, that sucks. But, I'm like, okay, but that's kind of, I took it as a little bit of a compliment, like, oh, okay.
Sure. Because you have, the hell is going on here? Oh. I'm trying to find I have to plug my computer back in. There we go.
Oh, your power. Well, why are you doing that? So anyone in the Florida area, I see they had the Sportatorium where all the championship wrestling from Florida was taped for all those years, all that great footage we seen. The Sportatorium on, I think it's July the 23rd, they're having at the commissioner's office, they're having a rezoning, whatever
meeting?
It is, a hearing, public hearing.
A hearing, okay.
Because they get it rezoned because I guess they want it rezoned for they can, because they've been trying to get it for long. What I hear is that no matter what happens there, that it's going to be within the next couple of months, it's going to be tore down, it's going to be gone. And it's like, man, what an incredible place that could be turned into a museum. How great that was from all the wrestling they've had for all those years, and it could be a really cool place. Have you ever been to the Sportatorium before?
I was there once. I did a Great Malenko tribute show.
Okay.
And we had a great time. So a lot of people that were there, including Sean Waltman, who showed up.
Now, when you walked in, did you say, seriously, this is where they taped all that stuff at? Because when the first time I walked in, I'm like, get out of here. So for real?
Yeah.
Come on. Because the ring was built into the floor above it, and it was just like a warehouse is saying too much. It's a 2-story building that you walked in and walked right in there, and it's just a little open space area, and they built the set and everything in there. I was like, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable.
When I walked in, that was the first thing that I was struck by. As we're going through the locker
Yeah,
rooms, I'm like, kind of retracing the steps of what I had seen so many times on TV. I'm like, okay, I'm
exactly.
in the locker room here. I'm in the heel locker room. And then as I came out through the door, now I'm in the main floor of the Sportatorium. The first thing that I saw was the desk area still looked
Yep.
virtually the same.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this is it.
If the walls could talk there, huh?
Yep, amazing.
Wow.
So obviously, we would like people to go to this rezoning meeting, this board hearing. And if you're a wrestling fan, ask of the local commissioners, the local board, ask of what they plan to do with the building, and throw some suggestions out there in terms of maybe turning it into a wrestling museum, because we would love that. 106 North Albany deserves to
Oh
have
yeah.
its place in wrestling immortality, other than just in the memories of fans and commentators like Casey and myself. We want to see the next generation be able to. We could fill that place with memorabilia and
Oh,
charge people 50
what,
cents just to walk through.
wouldn't that be incredible to own that
Oh,
place and just turn it into a convention hall to museum convent? Oh, it'd just be incredible.
yeah.
But from what I gather, all the houses now are all boarded up. I remember they tore everything down and built the houses. Now they're all boarded up, and I guess some developers probably, buying them all out, boarding them up, and want to demolish everything and, turn it into some downtown area,
Yeah.
place and all that.
Hmm. Well, that's the way the world works, you know.
Yeah, yeah, it's
What else
crazy
is on?
because, huh?
I was going to ask what else is on the whiteboard. We've got to cover all the topics.
We did. I worked them
Whew,
all in.
look at that.
I mean,
What?
it's not a lot because it's just things I wanted to talk about, but 9 times out of 10 I will forget it. So I'm like, let me throw it on a whiteboard where I could,
Throw it on a
you know,
whiteboard.
work it in with a little transition.
Hey, so what do you think? Go back to MXPW and what you paid for TV. Was it the Savoldis that put together the deal to get them on Sunshine?
Oh boy, I'm not really sure. I knew MLW had it, and Dusty. That's the same deal MLW had,
Okay.
is what I got. So I don't know who, or I heard it from Dusty or something like that.
Well,
So
because the Savoldis were working with Puerto Rico.
yes, yes. Okay, yeah, yeah, I do remember that now. Yeah, some of those cobwebs up there about all that is. But I do remember they'd want the to be encoded and have it where um the person would be doing subtitles. You know how they had that?
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm like, I ain't doing that. They're like, you have to do it. I'm like, no, I'm not. It's expensive,
Yeah.
and I never did it. And they would call and say, hey, I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, I'll get it next week. I did the whole wrestling thing, yeah, next week. And they'd call and say, hey, there's too much blood, or hey, the language, or this or that, and um, so what I did for a little while when there was blood, I would just flip to black and white, you know,
Mm-hmm.
so the screen's black and white for that part, and it would turn back. And um, I um, I also my workaround for music, because I never got any cease and desist letters from any um, bands or anything like that because of the music. Because the way I did it is I didn't run it through the board. The music or the music was captured through the camera, so it's considered background noise, not so I didn't have to pay any royalties for it or anything. And so
Correct.
they asked me about it once, and I said, "Yeah, I'm a member of what is it? Um, what's that thing called where you pay the radio station pays to be They pay like 50 cents or 7 cents or something whenever you play one of their songs.
Oh, I can't remember the name of it. I know what you're talking about, though.
Aspect or
As
I said, yeah, I'm a
Asfab.
member of that. They're like, yeah. They're like, okay, no problem.
Okay,
So
come on
I
in.
think because we were at midnight, we had more latitude than other people might have.
Probably.
Yeah.
Who would be
But I used
calling
to hate
you?
it when the
Was
phone
it a
rang and
low
I
level?
saw,
What is it? A low level stooge, a low level flunky, or was it, Mr. Sunshine Network?
that I dealt with?
Yeah.
Oh, I dealt with the vice president of the company, Dana, and
Jesus.
she healed on me so much. I'm like, and then she left the company and became my best friend because she wanted to
Oh.
get my business for something else. She left and she did something else in the television business, but wanted my business. So she became a big baby face to me.
People are. It doesn't matter, folks. It doesn't matter. If you know how to work, you can succeed in any business. And I'm not
The
talking
wrestling
about
business,
being, the wrestling business, show
it applies
business.
to everything.
It does. It applies to every single thing. It's the way to live your life. Just learn how to
Yeah.
work. I think that all the time. And I hear people say stupid things, and I'm like, Jesus, just learn how to work. Oh. And then I bite my tongue and don't say anything because I don't want anybody knowing that I know anything. That's the other thing. You can
Right.
play dumb. Playing dumb has a big value to me. I don't need to tell anybody
Absolutely.
anything.
Oh, playing dumb's the best way for everything.
Yeah. I don't know nothing. When you looked at the investment, that was coming out of your pocket, right? Or was that coming out of your investor's pocket, the money, every
Not
week?
my pocket.
Okay.
My investor. Yeah. My partner. He and he was fine with the loss. He's like, it doesn't matter. He had a lot of money then. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and then he got into some legal issues and lost everything, and then came back, coming back, and then now, I mean, he could be in Forbes magazine.
For
10 years ago, he
many,
is worth
how many?
billions.
How many
It's
billions?
about 10 years ago. I think it was 85 billion with a B.
B with a B.
Not a M, a B. And
Legit.
but he's like, nah. If I thought for a second that we could do something, and he was like, if I thought for a second that we could break even on it, just break even, he said I would do it. He says, but nah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, trust me, you're not breaking even. No way. Not in the
no.
first 5 years, 10 years. Who knows?
Right.
When
I mean, is
all right,
AEW
so
breaking even yet?
I don't think so.
And in our conversations, he was saying that they have so much money, that family, that they could lose on that till the end of time. And all that matter is till when the dad says, you know what, enough. He said, because actually what they're losing doesn't even affect them. They don't even see it. It's like, he said, they have that much money.
Yeah.
He said they could buy WWE in a second. He said they're that loaded.
That of course was the first. That family was the first name I thought of about buying TNA, because there's a ton of great footage. You get the library, you get licensing, you get all the names and the properties and everything. And TNA is an interesting brand if it has funding, financing, and a direction. It had a direction with Dixie Carter. I mean, it had funding with Dixie Carter. It
Right.
had a direction, but it wasn't necessarily a good direction. And then it would just zig and zag and would one now this period we're this, and Hogan and Bischoff come in and we're this, and now it's back to Russo
Right.
and we're this. And it just couldn't find its way just straight, because that's ultimately what
If
people want.
if you had someone who
straight.
had money and they said, okay, who would you want to come over and take over and start running it?
Well, I would have them hire you.
Oh.
because you know more people than me. I mean, who would I want running things?
Would you want a Jeff Jarrett? Would you want a Russo? Would you want a Cornette?
Okay, out of those three, you're more likely to get Vince Russo.
Yeah.
Availability. I think Jeff is in the middle, whereas Cornette is one extreme and Russo is to the other extreme. Jeff can pull a little bit from both. So I would say if I had a choice of Russo, Jeff Jarrett, or Jim Cornette, and all three would be available, not under contract to anybody else. I'm not talking about that. I would go with Jeff Jarrett just because you get a little bit of both. What do you think?
Yeah. I think he's highly underrated.
Yeah, that's fair.
In what he knows about the business.
By the way, another second generation guy. How about that?
Yeah.
Back to our main
he might
topic.
Be third generation.
Well, his grandmother Christine was worked in the office. It was the secretary for Roy Welch.
Yeah.
And there's maybe some familial ties there. I'm not sure. I don't know.
I don't want to be talking about some guy's grandma now. Come on.
I don't want to be talking about some guy's grandma. But that's one of those things. And again, when Casey and I have those little asides, when we go, I don't want to talk about that, it's because we've heard rumor and speculation about things through the years. And because we're in wrestling, where we believe nothing, we're also gullible marks and we believe everything.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
The craziest thing. Ugh. You'll never believe this. You'll never guess who is so-and-so with so-and-so. Oh,
yeah,
really?
It's hard to have relationships with people that are not in the business either.
True.
Because they don't understand your mindset, how you think, and they're like, this guy, something's wrong with this guy.
Yeah, he's got problems. He definitely has problems. Okay. I think one of the second-generation guys that we didn't pay enough attention to physically last week, because we did talk about Barry, but we've got to talk about Dustin, okay?
Yeah.
And Dustin, when he started, was silky smooth and fluid and so much different than his father. And it was... and you forget that Dusty was a great athlete. What did you think of Dustin when he first broke in, when we first saw him in the state of Florida?
Yeah, I mean, he looked like a wrestler. He's tall, big, lanky guy. He looked like, him and Barry are always together, so it's like they were brothers, kind of thing. So, I know he had his first few matches against Bob Cook. So, I mean, he was in good hands, and they thought enough of Bob to put him out there to get him through the match and everything. I always thought he was a really good worker. I know when he changed the characters to Gold Dust and everything. I would like to see Dustin be more of a Dustin, like a Dusty, longer in WCW than they did. Because it's funny when we get there. Because you get there for TV, you're there for 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and Dustin and Barry were like two brothers and two young kids, always screwing around, one would be sitting, on the top rope, the other guy would be yanking the ropes up and down, bouncing up like he's riding a bull, and I mean, all kinds of crazy stuff they'd always be doing. So,
and that's where I thought.
Yeah, he was
I thought Florida was going to be in great hands because we had Barry and we had Dustin. So there's our next generation. Little did I know that at the same time there were forces that were kind of pulling both of them away logically because the big company needed both of them. They needed Barry first, and then later on they needed Dustin.
Yeah. And what Blackjack told me was, which I find to be very interesting, out of all the boys, like out of his boys, Kendall was the most athletic, he says.
Really?
Yeah. He said Kendall's the most athletic out of the whole family.
Is
what he always told me.
Kendall was a slightly smaller body shape, similar, but a smaller version of Barry Wyndham. For those of you that never saw Kendall
He's a
Wyndham.
toothpick of his brother.
Yeah, I mean, that's a way to say it.
I know I was talking about how I used to, once I started going to wrestling, when my dad finally released me from the bleachers and the stands, I could go everywhere. I always be down by the babyface side and stuff like that, by the back. And I used to sit on the tables with Bubba Douglas and talk with him. And he always sit there and laugh and everything in between his matches he's refereeing and stuff. And then Kendall was there, and I was doing the age difference, and I think Kendall was only like 4 years older than me.
Wow.
So when I was 12, then he was 16.
Damn.
So, and then he started right after that. I think he started when he was late 17, right before his 18th birthday he started.
Now,
so
what
he
happened
was just a kid?
Yeah, what happened to Kendall after the respite there in the federal penitentiary?
Well, he's just wrestled and overseas and different things like that. Because I think by this time the territories were all pretty much dried up. So, they were, doing their thing. And I remember we did a show where it was a fair show. Both Blackjack and Kendall were on it, and Jack was like, "Hey, KW, man, I was just over wrestling for this guy over here in Texas or something. You got to get up with him, man. It was a good little spot show and stuff like that." And so they were going all over just wrestling, trying to, make the living without having to get a real job. And
right.
I know he ended up had a little run with WCW with Kurt Hennig and they're all second generation wrestler.
That's right.
Bobby Duncan Jr.
Yep.
They had Kurt Hennig. They had Barry and Kendall. What were they called? The
West Texas Rednecks.
Texas. Yeah.
Rap is crap. They were supposed to be heels. They were supposed to be heels, but it got over.
But they liked them.
Yes.
And I think that was a problem, that they got over too big.
Yeah. Now what do we do? Because if we push these guys, then we're, invigorating the racists.
They're trying to put over Master P and all those guys, and
I know
they're healing on them, and of course they're gonna go over as baby faces because they're the second generation guys, because everyone that watches wrestling's watched their whole lineage their whole life. So
yes.
But then he started. Nowadays, from what I understand, he has his own security, like ADT security systems in your houses. He owns one of them. Very, very successful from what I hear. Driving like a Bentley, and
good for him.
Still married to Phyllis, and but now he's like 280 pounds, just jacked, and finally filled into his body and everything, and looks like he's a big wrestler. But
that's
wants
awesome.
nothing to do with the business.
That's what we've heard. Speaking of wanting nothing to do with the business, when are we going to get a guest?
Man, I'm trying.
We said Barbara Clary's not. She's not interested.
Yeah,
she's not coming on.
Must have slept with someone and has heat still. I did talk to what was his WWF name? Not Sinclair, Sin Bodie.
Yeah, Sin Bodie.
Yeah, what was his WWF name? Did he?
Arnie.
Something. Oh, okay. Yeah. I talked to him last night, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I haven't talked to Kevin in a long time. I'd love to come on the show."
Love it.
So I can try to get him set up for next week. I I called Chaz yesterday. Chaz, give me a call back. Quick kayfabe with me.
Yeah, what up?
And still no Barry or the Warlord, no answers from their phone.
Damn it. All right. Well, we'll work on that, folks. And we certainly will thank you in advance, because I got a feeling that this episode is going to push the total up over 1,000. That's been our goal from the start.
Yeah.
And now this is just going to make us have bigger and better goals. But we're about to hit the first one 1,000
Yes.
subscribers. You could be Mr. or Miss 1,000, or however you identify.
Yeah.
You could be the 1,000th subscriber. Just go to YouTube right now, like, share, so others can subscribe, and then you subscribe yourself and see where you are on the number chain. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah, no pronouns, pal.
Pretty pronouns, pal. Oh, by the way, this is one thing I forgot to tell you. Did you see the invitations for Vince's 80th birthday?
Yes, I did.
Oh, what a scream. So could you imagine the boys trying to get into that deal, to get in, to be able to, like, buddy up to and hang with Vince McMahon?
Yeah.
Just on the off chance that he runs again, that he runs opposition to WWE.
Well, that brings up a couple things because, TNA is for sale, but I think there's something built in that WWE has the rights to
First
buy
right of
first.
refusal. Yes.
Yes.
They have to match the offer. So if, let's say, Tony Khan offers $100 million for TNA, well, I think Tony Khan may have just bought himself TNA. Same deal with Vince. Because I doubt that, how deeply WWE is going to want to go into debt to try to just cover the mark, just to prevent so-and-so from owning TNA. The Aspers would be happy to get their money and get out.
Vince or Shane. I think that would really change things up, and it would that would be man, imagine if I could talk to my boy and say, hey, let's buy this and have Vince come in and say, Vince, you have full reign to do whatever you want.
He's 80 years old.
I know. How long I don't know how his health is, or he seems like he's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, 80 is old, but our president is 80, and he's doing, everything. He's running around like he's a kid still.
I know. He's amazing, right? Like, he never slows down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seeing President Trump, like, do all the things that he does, flying, going across the world, and all his people are like, we're just trying to sleep on the plane, and he's coming over wanting to talk to us. It is just like Vince. Because Vince is calling you 2 o'clock in the morning. Hey, pal, what about Seg 6? I'm trying to sleep.
I've seen, like, the guy tires, like, Mr. President, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, okay, anyhow, Mr. President, my wife said, get off the phone, But, he doesn't sleep. But Vince is, exactly the same way.
Yeah.
But
all right, so
that would really throw a wrench into everything.
I know. You talk to your former partner, and you say, okay, let's get this, and then we reach out and we do call Vince. We have to.
Oh yeah, that's the first person I would try to get a hold of and say, Vince, do whatever you want.
Oh,
just can't talk to the girls.
Just keep them away from the girls, pal. Oh my God.
Would you have a personal security, which would be a buffer to keep them out of trouble? Speaking of, second generation wrestlers, I used to be that for Rocky Johnson.
Yeah.
Because myself and Orlando Jordan was because Rocky would get in so much mischief that made, The Rock look bad.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, what did my dad do again? He stole the mayor's son's fishing pole or this or that. Stupid petty stuff. But
innocent stuff.
Yeah. Would you have a buffer that would shield him to keep him out of trouble?
And the way you sell, yes, I would. And the way you sell it is, this is your personal security. This is so those people stay away from you, Vince.
Right.
But again, it's to keep Vince out of trouble.
Right. Would Johnny Ace be a person, or is he just a stooge? Total stooge, yeah.
Beat it.
That's what I always thought he was.
Yeah, terrible.
I always thought he just got over because he was Miss Baba's love toy.
That's how he got over there. Brought his reputation for being able to call a good finish. Brought that to WCW. Broke Sid's leg. Hired the wrong one-legged guy. Somehow got a job with WWF. What are you going to do? But no, he can stay home.
Yeah.
but I would certainly want to know the Rolodex. Who does he know in production? Who does he know in television? You know, Kevin Dunn, take him or leave him, but he certainly knows a hell of a lot about producing wrestling. Another second-generation guy, ding.
You know, if Vince came in, Kevin Dunn would probably come in then, I bet.
Yeah, you got to have Kevin Dunn. And they put the band back together, and they have an axe to grind, and we just go to the bank.
You know, so the In-Ring Wrestling Podcast is buying TNA.
The In-Ring...
They're putting an offer out for TNA, and Vince and Kevin Dunn are coming in.
The In-Ring Wrestling Podcast has... The rumor is the In-Ring Wrestling Podcast is setting up to put an offer in to buy TNA Wrestling. And we would hire Vince McMahon, who would then hire Kevin Dunn to be in charge of production. Would you support a new TNA Wrestling owned by the In-Ring Wrestling Podcast? How about that for controversy? Yes or no?
Yeah.
I hope Barbara's happy because she got her controversy.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, on that note, let's leave it, and we'll pick this up next week because who knows what could happen in this crazy world of wrestling. You know, we know the NBA is completely fixed. We know that every sport is a work. The World Cup is fixed. It's all fake. It's all fake. Just remember that.
This just haven't been outed yet.
It just hasn't. Because there's so much money involved. That's why they keep the secret. They keep making money, and they cut each other in.
Those were serious phone conversations. Mm-hmm. I've been thinking about this. You know, the UFC has to be a work. I'm like, I thought it was like sitting on the edge of my seat. Okay. Yeah, Kevin, what's up? Yeah, UFC has to be a work. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I love Kevin. Oh my God, I loved him so much. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the In-Ring Wrestling Podcast. Next week, we might be celebrating 1,000 subscribers, so you definitely don't want to miss that. All the follow-up from this firebrand episode here with rumors flying around. As I'm just sitting here, the rumors continue to swirl around about us buying TNA Wrestling with Vince in charge and Kevin Dunn in charge of production. We'll see what happens by the time next week rolls around. So for Casey Thompson, I'm Kevin Kelly. Thanks for joining us on the In-Ring Wrestling Podcast.
Vince will probably be on next week.
Make sure to like, share, and subscribe the In-Ring Wrestling Podcast.